A very good morning, dear children. Today we will see the remaining part of the chapter number 1, the living world, adaptations and classification. Now let us see, children, Darwin's theory of adaptation. Charles Darwin was a biologist. He observed many plants and animal species and he suggested theory of natural selection. So let us see what is meant by survival of the fittest. So living organisms which are best adapted to changing environment are likely to survive. Survive means after the death of that living organism, they are alive. That is called as survive. So this is called the theory of survival of the fittest. And this is Darwin's first principle. Now let us see theory of natural selection. If an organism is born with a new beneficial characteristic and is able to survive, this change is preserved in the next generation. So any organism which shows beneficial characteristics means special characteristics, then he can survive in the next generation also. This was Darwin's second principle. Now let's recall some question answers, children. Why are living things classified? Which are the criteria used for classification of plants and animals? So it is necessary to classify the living things because it is difficult to study and remember all the diverse organisms in this world. In this world, children, there are many living things in plants and animals also. Okay, and there are having many different characteristics. So it is very difficult to study all these characteristics. So it is necessary to classify all these plants and animals. So for classifying these plants and animals, we are considering different criteria. So for plants, we are considering height, shape of stem, period of life cycle, whether they are flowering plants or non-flowering plants, and their habitat. For animals, we are classified according to their cell structure, vertebral column, method of reproduction, and habitat. So these are criteria we are using to classify living things. Now let us see classification of living organism. It is necessary to classify the living things because it is difficult to study and remember the diverse organisms in this world. So different scientists use different criteria and gave a method of classification. So there is a hierarchy for classification. So classification starts with kingdom Animalia or kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Animalia means in this there is a study of all animals, and kingdom Plantae means there is a study of all plants. Then depending upon basic similarities and differences, their further groups and subgroups are formed, and this is known as hierarchy of classification. So there are total two kingdoms for classification, that is kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. But with the help of similarities and differences in plants and animals, this kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia classified in different groups and subgroups, and that is called as, children, hierarchy of classification. So kingdom, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus and species are the sequences of classification system. So these are the sequence of classification system for both, that is plants as well as animals. So let us see with the help of example how this hierarchy for plants and animals. So in this hierarchy there are two examples, mango and human. So mango is a plant and human are coming in the group animals. Okay. So kingdom will be Plantae for mango and for human it will be Animalia. So phylum Anthophylla for mango and then for human Chordata. Class is Dicotyledone and human, that is Mammalia. Then order for mango is Sapindales and then for human primates. Okay. Then family Anacardiaceae and for human Homidiaceae. This is the family name. Then genus is Mangifera. Then for human that is Homo. And species is Indica for mango. And for human species will be Sapien. So these are the two examples for hierarchy. Okay, that is mango and human. Now let us see children binomial nomenclature by Carl Linnaeus. Binomial nomenclature is used to identify each organism. This method was suggested by Carl Linnaeus. So this binomial nomenclature system is discovered by the scientist Carl Linnaeus. Every living organism has given uniform name throughout the world. This is called scientific name. Scientific name consists of two parts. The first part is genus and the second part is species. As per the guidelines of the International Code of Nomenclature, every organism has a binomial name. So, in binomial nomenclature, there are two parts. First part is genus and second part is species. Okay. So, this is the scientific nomenclature. Means we are giving scientific name to all living organism. Okay. So, that is called as binomial nomenclature. Only organisms belonging to same species can produce an offspring. So the organism belonging to same species, they are producing their young ones, that is offspring. All the organisms belonging to the same species may have differences in color, height, habitat, habits, but still they can produce among themselves and form offsprings like themselves. So every organism in the same species producing their young ones. Okay, and they are belonging to the same species. Then also there are differences in between their color, height, then habitat means their living things. Okay, then habits. All these are different. Then also they are producing young ones just like them only. For example, all domestic animals like cats, hen, cow, dog, etc. and plants like mango, wheat, maize, etc. So all the domestic animals, that is cat is giving young ones, that is cat only. Hen is giving young ones, that is hen only. Okay, means they are producing the young ones just like themselves, but they are having different color, height, habits like that also. Okay, so this is the binomial nomenclature of Carl Linnaeus. Now let us see some examples of living things according to this binomial nomenclature for plants and animals. So living things is dog. So scientific name Canis lupus familiaris. Okay. Cow Bos taurus. Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Jowar sorghum bicolor. Okay. So these are the scientific name for these plants and animals. Now, some important points to remember, children. World Frog Protection Day is observed on 29th April. This is for creating awareness about conservation of frog. Okay, so for conserving frog, it is very important to protect the frog. So, Frog Protection Day is on 29th April. According to Wildlife Protection Act, killing or harming frog is prohibited. Okay, so there is ban for killing the frog or harming the frog, because frog is important in case of life cycle also, children. Okay, we know frogs are eaten by snakes are eaten by eagle. Okay, so there is a life cycle. If anyone can kill the frog, then obviously it will affect to life cycle also. Okay, so frog protection is important, or protection of frog is important. Thank you children for your attention.